Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another lovely day here with the Velocity Racing League for the 2022 Cup Series. We are here today at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Gateway 200. 200 miles, 160 laps that we will be completing here today at Worldwide Tech. Now, folks, this is going to be quite the interesting race here after coming back from some road course racing that we saw last week at Road America, where we saw Aaron Smith come away with yet another win to tack on to his season. That's putting him up into 11th place for the season standings, so that gave him quite a bit of a boost here as we're moving on now into the next race of the season, and it would appear that Mr. Aaron Smith will not be attending today's race. So, unfortunate to see the number 70 machine going to be calling it, taking a break here for this week's race. But anyhow, we still have other drivers that are making their way around track at this point in the race that are still fighting for spots in the championship as it currently stands. We're looking at Matthew Fitz in the number 69 machine here at this point in time. Matthew sitting in 12th place at this point, just below Aaron Smith after last week's race at Road America. Matthew Fitz here, I do not believe... no, he was at Road America. He finished 10th place in that race for last week. So Matthew Fitz back out here this week. He's going to look to see if he can get a better shot at staying up near the front this time around, given that we don't have quite the gap. Well, I don't want to say that here. Gateway is a little bit tricky here, folks. Now, if you're looking on your screen right now, this is kind of a very, very good indicator of what we'll kind of expect to see throughout the race here tonight. Well, I say that, that's kind of confusing. Essentially what I'm trying to say here, this track is extremely flat, okay? There's not a whole lot of banking into our turns as we see Mr. Fitz in the 6.9 getting a little bit sideways there as he comes out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. So, with that in mind, we're going to see drivers getting pretty loose, taking different lines around the track here, trying to see what works best for them. Now, there's going to be quite a few different lines that I think drivers are going to be trying to take here. You know, there's going to be a lot of drivers taking kind of that mid to low line here, but given just how slick this track can be, especially coming out of turn 2, especially in turns 3 and 4, which we're seeing right now, Scott Shire, the number 4 machine, work his way out of turn 4 now and down the front straight. So there's a lot of opportunities here for drivers to make mistakes, and we're going to be paying attention to that. It's 160 laps that drivers have to complete here today at Gateway, and just in the time that I've seen in practice, things are going to get spicy very, very quickly here for these drivers. I do have a feeling we'll have to see how things kind of start for these drivers going into kind of the first stint of the race, if you will. But once drivers get themselves settled, once the tires get warmed up, I'm excited to see some door-to-door action here tonight with the Velocity Racing League. It has been exciting to see this league on the ovals week in and week out, especially on the road courses as well, just even seeing the dominant drivers that we've seen here throughout the series already. But now that we're back here on the ovals, it's kind of looking back at the championship leaders, or leader, rather. Well, actually, I'd say that it's getting pretty close in the championship battle right now. Howie Briss currently still in the lead. Let's actually pull up our points graphic here so you can take a look at that here as well. So, Howie Briss sitting at the very tippy top of the point standings here with 2,202 points. Tony Hilbrand's just behind him, 125 points behind, to be exact, with 2,077 points. Nicholas Lavelle, 158 points behind Howie Briss with 2,044 points. Sean Williams, 2,036 points in 4th place. Jaden Hopp in 5th place with 2,031. To round out our top 5, you can see the rest on your screen. So, folks, the championship is getting close here. And now that we've gotten... in the words of Tony Hilbrands, now that we've seen a lot of the kind of the road courses, the tracks where we're going to see some drivers dominate in, now that we've kind of filtered through those, things might shuffle around a little bit. We might not see that same level of domination that we've seen from drivers like Aaron Smith here throughout the rest of the season, now that we've going to see more traditional tracks throughout the rest of the season. There are still a few road courses, if I do recall correctly, but that is not the focus of today's race here, as drivers are going to get themselves a little bit of... Nope, never mind. The white flag is already waved here for this little warm-up session here that they sometimes utilize if the situation is needed. But that is going to be skipped over today, and we are going to go ahead and get into our starting grid for the start of today's race. Paul Mikolajczyk, the number 38 machine, taking the very tippy top of the pole here today. Starting off in first place, Tony Hillbrand's in the 92 machine, going to be in second place, rounding out our first row. Starting off in the second row, Nicholas Lavelle in the 10 machine. Starting off in third place, Howie Briss in the 97, taking fourth place, rounding out our second row. Benny Hogan in the 5 car, taking fifth place here today in... Charles Jurek in the number 76 machine, going to be in sixth place here, rounding out our third row. Sean Williams, the 89, taking seventh. Michael Keithley in 8th place. Alex Anderson starting off in 9th place here today. Jaden Hopp in 10th place. Scott Shire in 11th. Matthew Fitz in 12th. Moving on down the grid here, Ashley Lyle in 13th. James Koulibaly in 14th. Daniel Mosteller in 15th. Patrick Colby in 16th. James Miller in 17th. And Keith Lee going to be in 18th here today. And while the drivers get themselves getting around the track here just for a moment, as they're behind the pace car, I'm going to step away from the booth here very, very quickly. I will be right back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, folks. We just have one technical quirk that we got to work out here, and we will be right back. Alrighty, folks, it's like it never happened. Anyhow, coming along down the back straight here. So, Paul Mikolajczyk, Tony Hillbrand's going to be out on the front row here. Paul Mikolajczyk here as well, a driver that we don't typically see up here in the starting row, at least if my memory serves me correctly. He's, had kind of a little iffy of a season here, kind of been mid-pack most of the season here. So to see him up here at the very tippy top of this, of the start of the race here, very good to see for the number 38 car. I mean, got to give credit where credit is due. It's absolutely earned. I mean, he put himself through qualifying. He put down the fastest lap out of every other driver here. So Paul definitely has an opportunity here to see what he's got. Not exactly certain how long he's going to be able to retain this spot, as he's got frankly, quite the field of drivers behind him that are going to give him quite the run here. Tony Hillbrand's, Nicholas Lavelle, Howie Briss, Charles Jurek, Benny Hogan. I mean, the list goes on here, folks. There are plenty of strong drivers here. Paul Mikolajczyk, he's among them here as well. Just hasn't had quite the best season, I would say, here for the number 38 car. So to see him up here at the start, at the top of the pole here for the start of today's race, looking good there for the Pierogi Bandit, Paul Mikolajczyk. As we work our way down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. The lights are off on the pace car, so once we come out of turn 4, the pace car will duck its way down into pit road, and we will get ourselves some green flag action here for the very first time here at Gateway. For the Gateway 200 of the 2022 VRL Cup Series, there we see the pace car is off. Ever so patiently waiting, these drivers are heading into the start zone. There we go, and away we go. Tony Hillbrand's Paul Mikolajczyk gonna be cruising on down into turn 1. Nicholas Lavelle, Howie Briss side by side just behind them. There he goes, Paul Mikolajczyk not able to hold on very well going out of turn 2 here. Man, oh man, that didn't take very long for Tony Hillbrand to be able to make that pass around the number 38 machine. But Paul Mikolajczyk is not done. He is not giving up that easily here as we work our way into turn 3 now. He's going to take another stab back at it once we come out of turn 4. That's the other unique thing here about Gateway, folks, is the fact that this track kind of has two different layouts for both ends of the track here. Turns 1 and 2, very short, very quick. Turns 3 and 4, Very long, very elongated, and very, very slick. We see a little bit of contact here with Alex Anderson, as well as the 53 of Michael Keithley. Coming out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway here. We've got a couple drivers beating and banging against one another here, but otherwise it's smooth, clean driving amongst our field here. So everyone doing a phenomenal job thus far. Here, as we'll get an in-car camera view of James Miller, the 09 machine, down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We're still looking with Alex Anderson, duking it out here with Michael Keithley. They were going almost door-to-door here. Out of turn 2, a little bit of almost the same that we just saw just a lap ago when we just tuned into these two drivers. So, again, a lot of these drivers here are going to be getting into one another here at Gateway. This is a very, very slippery track. Again, flat tracks, not the best for grip. You have to. It's a huge testament to the driver's skill, as well as being able to manage tires, being able to. It's a whole package of things here for these drivers that they have to work with and manage. And so far, I mean, it's only lap 4 of 160. We can't really say too much here. There's a little bit of, looks like three wide action there for just a moment here, as a little 2x2 4-pack here has brewed up here between Michael Keithley, Alex Anderson, Ashley Lyle, and Scott Shire. Oh, a little bit of a scuffle here between Michael Keithley, Alex Anderson. Down the front straightaway, they keep it together. Scott Shire backs off there. He doesn't want anything to do with that. He's trying to keep this race green. So again, folks, this is just showing just how difficult it truly is here around a track like Gateway. Here, as we're going to get a side-by-side view of what's going on at the front of the field on the right-hand side of your screen. Paul Mikolajczyk, again, he's not giving up this time. I mean, once that pass was made from Tony Hilbrand's, I think Paul Mikolajczyk something clicked inside of him. He said, you know what? I'm here to make a statement. I'm up here for a reason. I'm going to stay up here as long as I possibly can. It's a long race left to go, though, and drivers already still... You know, we're seeing a lot of bumping and banging like we've already saw here between a few drivers. Let's see how many drivers here are able to keep it together for the whole 160 laps without too much damage to their cars, or if any at all. Great battles happening on both sides of our screens here. I'm having a hard time choosing which one to call here, folks. You know, this is why I love this multicam picture stuff. You know, you really get a great idea of what's going on throughout the field, and also it gives you more opportunities to see exactly where your favorite drivers are and where the rest of the field kind of looks like and where it's shaping up to be at this point. Lap 8 of 160. Again, drivers clicking off about 35-second lap times here at this point in the race. You know, tires are pretty much warmed up now at this point. They pretty much got up to temperature, I would probably assume, about 5 or 6 laps ago. Either way, either how, you know, this is kind of the easy part of the race, if you will. I wouldn't even say the easy part, but it's the take it easy part of the race, if you will, for these drivers. You know, you don't want to be pushing it too aggressively. You want to manage tires. You want to manage your fuel. And you also want to make sure that you're there for the end of the race for the checkered flag. You don't want to put yourself down a lap. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're having to fight your way back up the field. Marcus Regal, hello, sir. Sorry if it's been a while since you typed that message out, but thank you for tuning in and joining us here today for the lovely action here for Gateway 200. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying the action here thus far. I know I'm certainly enjoying it. This is getting pretty intense here amongst the field. I mean, we've got quite the battles forming throughout. I mean, drivers are starting to get a little bit spread out here. Let's not deny that fact here, but that's also probably just due to the fact that Gateway is just so difficult. I mean, I've driven this track before in these ARCAs, in these ARCA cars, and it's not easy, folks. It's easier to get this car loose than it is to keep it straight. Let me just put it like that. Gateway is a truly difficult track, truly difficult oval for these ARCAs. So it's impressive that these drivers are clicking off laps the way that they are and putting on battles that we're seeing here in the early stages of this race. Now, speaking of stages, kind of speaking of fuel windows and all of those things, we're looking at about 55, 65 lap fuel windows for these drivers here today. They got 4 sets of tires available to them in the pits, so we're going to expect to see drivers come down here. I would expect to see drivers probably come down into the pits for tires before they come. Well, no, actually, that's probably wrong. I would assume they're going to come down before fuel, before anything. That's my mistake. But either way, they're going to be eating these tires up, I would have to imagine, and they're going to be eating up those right sides, especially on this flat track. I mean, these guys are digging, absolutely digging, trying to get all that they can, get all the power that they can out of these cars into the wheels of these things and down onto the track. It's tough. It's tough. You're trying to avoid wheel spin. You're trying to avoid that rear end getting away from you, getting loose. It's a real ballet. It's a real balance game here that these drivers are doing, and it's phenomenal to see the action that we've seen so far. A lot of the battles still happening out on track that we've seen here already. Look at this battle, though. James Miller, the 09 machine, tracking down Alex Anderson, trying to get as close as he possibly. Ooh, man. Anderson here, he is really on a drive here. Trying to get all that he can here up to the rear end of Scott Shire. Not able to quite do so. Here, as we're going to get an inside car camera view of Alex Anderson there on the bottom right, on the bottom of your screen, excuse me. James Miller down on his inside. They almost banged doors coming out of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, James Miller giving him plenty of room here. Heading towards turn 3. So we keep an eye on what's going on down there. Look at what's brewing up here at the front of the field at the top of your screens. Paul Mikolajczyk, the number 38 machine, has made his pass up into first place. Tony Hillbrandt's Nicholas Lavelle now going to be second and third place here as Paul Mikolajczyk drives it a little bit wide there. Going into 1 and out of 2. Tony Hillbrandt's able to take advantage of that. Going into the bottom line here. Into turn 3, and that's all she wrote. Paul Mikolajczyk left nowhere to go as Nicholas Lavelle as well as Howie Briss trying to form a little bit of a draft line here, it seems like, down the front stretch. Howie Briss now going to be side by side momentarily there with Paul Mikolajczyk as they head into turn 1 once again. Paul here going to fall into 4th place now as he gets behind the rear of Howie Briss. Again, he is not giving up here. There is a fight in that number 38 car right now. He is trying everything that he possibly can here, and the pace is there. It's definitely there. Paul Mikolajczyk definitely has the speed to be able to compete up here in this top 4 right now that we're seeing. It's just a matter of can he stay consistent long enough. You know, we've seen a couple mistakes here already, but so far he's been able to recoup that. He's been able to recover from it very, very well here. So I'm not sure what's happened here overnight here for the number 38 machine for Paul Mikolajczyk or over the weekend, but it seems like it's a whole new driver behind the wheel of that number 38 car here in today's race at Gateway, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. So great competition here from Paul Mikolajczyk. Nicholas Lavelle, though. In the meantime, while I was jabbering away there, wow, I can't speak words for some reason. Nicholas Lavelle able to get himself up into the very tippy top here, leading this field now. Tony Hillbrandt's in 2nd place still at this point in time, trying to get some momentum built up here. Here as we're on lap 18 of 160. Here for the Gateway 200 of the 2022 VRL Cup Series. So again, a lot of this field here has started to spread out quite significantly. You're seeing on the bottom right-hand side of your screen the track map and where drivers are starting to find themselves kind of spread out around the field. It doesn't exactly look like it's that spread out, but when you're looking at timing and scoring and you're looking at kind of where all the drivers are currently standing, if you're looking at the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the gap, which is represented in seconds on the left-hand side of your screen there. And that shows us kind of how far apart all of our field is from the leader, or rather from the driver ahead of them, I should say. But here up front, the battle for the lead is ever brewing here. Nicholas Lavelle, Tony Hillbrands, they're going to be side by side as they work their way out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. The 92 down on the inside of the 10 of Nicholas Lavelle, heading into turn 3. Tony Hillbrands with the drive heading into turn 3. He really sent it into there. Very, very good work there from Tony, taking advantage of that bottom line, taking advantage of all that speed that it has to offer. Again, turns 3 and 4, there's a lot of time that you're going to spend in that turn, so it's really ideal to kind of stay down on that inside line as much as you possibly can, at least in my experience. But I'm sure a lot of these drivers here would have some different opinions of that. But anyhow, look at Jaden Hopp, Benny Hogan getting a little spicy here as they're working their way through turn 3. They were side by side there for just a moment, and frankly, we've seen these two drivers duke it out quite often, I would have to say, as well as Sean Williams here starting to get up into the mix here in battle for 5th place, you could call it essentially, as we cross the line, lap 22 of 160. Don Hillbrands in the chat. Awesome night for racing. Let's go Hillbrands. Some awesome racing all around so far. I got to agree with you, Don. It has been absolutely phenomenal seeing all the racing that we've had on our screen thus far. And frankly, I'm excited to see more of it. As still green flag, no major incidents as of yet. No one has really caused anything to make anyone concerned, so that's really good to see. Really good to see the long green flag runs here as the race continues on. Here as we're going to get a little side-by-side picture here of what's going on here for 6th place. You got Ashley Lyle's in-car camera on the right-hand side of your screen as we work our way down the front stretch. Ashley Lyle trying to trail in the 81 car of Jaden Hopp. Benny Hogan just ahead of him. Ashley with a very good drive here into turn 1 and out of turn 2. Chipping away at that gap between herself and Jaden Hopp here at this point in time. And Jaden kind of really just trailing behind the number 5 car here as Ashley with a great build-up to the 81 here. Now it's just a matter of getting set up for a pass or building up that pass, if you will. And you can see the input on the right-hand side of your screen from Ashley's steering wheel, just how much she's having to control this car here. Going in through turn 1 here, just taking a look here at the right-hand side of our screen for a moment. Down the back straightaway, and you can kind of see the counter steer that you have to put in coming into the, well, out of these turns, the counter steer, because what I found at this track when I was driving this car is coming out of turn 2, the car just wants to dive down to the bottom of the track, so you have to kind of compensate for that. You have to prepare yourself for that, because if you don't, you'll see, we might see it. I don't want to jinx anyone. I don't want to jinx any of our fantastic drivers here tonight. But it could happen where someone gets loose. Someone gets that rear end away from them, trying to overcorrect that. It's tough, folks. This track is absolutely vicious. And I love the racing here. It's been absolutely phenomenal here thus far. Ashley Lyle, though, down on the inside of the 81 of Jaden Hopp. She's able to make that pass up into 6th place here, almost up here into the top 5, as well as Benny Hogan. We've got a trail of drivers here all starting to get a bit of a pack built up here. Hopefully we'll see maybe a little bit of drafting come into play here. Probably not too much. Everyone's going to be fighting for positions. But as we we're almost actually about halfway through our fuel stint here at this point in the race. Lap 55 to 65 was the expected time that we're going to come down into the pits, get that fresh set of fuel into these cars, fresh set of tires, if you will. I said fresh set of fuel. That did not make any sense. I apologize for that, folks. Anyway, so once we get towards that point, I mean, it's going to shuffle our field out pretty significantly. I mean, we're going to have drivers coming in at different points in the race. When they come back out, I mean, drivers are not necessarily going to be battling for positions. They're going to be trying to work their way around lap traffic, trying to get themselves back up to where they need to be in those battles for position. So things get interesting under green flag pit stop runs here. So, and if my math serves me right here, we're going to expect to see drivers coming down into the pits at least twice, but for sure probably 3 times, if my math serves me correct here. So, with all that in mind here, let's go ahead and run through our top 10 here as it currently stands. Nicholas Lavelle at the very tippy top of our field here. He has built up quite the gap now between himself and Tony Hillbrand's, doing a phenomenal job in this race here as well. You know, it's always kind of a little bit of uncertainty as far as who is going to be leading these races once kind of things are all said and done. You know, qualifying really doesn't give you the best picture of a race. It really just gives you an idea of how prepared a driver is and what they've done to get themselves ready for a race. I mean, there's a couple other things that you could go in on in detail, but point being, qualifying is more or less just, I can do this. This is what I can do. Where does that put me on the grid? Once the green flag drops for the race, that's where things get a little bit tricky. But Nicholas Lavelle, through the season, has done a phenomenal job here. Sitting in 3rd place at the moment with 2,044 points, just 158 behind the leader, Howie Briss. You know, if he comes away with a win tonight, I don't know exactly if Howie is going to be the one leading this season once things are all said and done. Moving on down the grid here, Tony Hillbrand sitting in 2nd place as well as 2nd in the championship here. A little bit better of a race here than what he had last week at Road America, excuse me. I had the same confusion last week with Road Atlanta, Road America. Anyway, so Tony Hillbrand came away with 4th place. Not exactly the worst place to finish for a road course race here with the ARCAs, but nonetheless, still not the best place that he probably wanted to finish overall. But coming in tonight, you know, taking a 2nd place finish here might actually give him the opportunity to put himself above both Nicholas Lavelle and Howie Briss. Not exactly certain how those points are going to play out. But, again, the championship is getting very, very close here, folks. I mean, we are seeing a very tight battle here already halfway through the season, and I'm not exactly certain it's going to get any better. We've seen a lot of different drivers winning week in and week out. We haven't really seen the same driver win every single week, so I'm excited to see how things are going to play out here for the rest of the season and just keep moving on from there. But moving on down, Paul Michalogic sitting in 3rd place. Again, we kind of talked about him a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast. Paul, not really a driver that we see too much up here in the top 3. More or less a midfield driver through the season so far, but not exactly certain if he kidnapped a professional driver to put behind the wheel for tonight's race or what. But he is sitting up here in 3rd place at this moment and doing a phenomenal job. And frankly, hopefully we get to see him finish here in that 3rd place spot, as he's holding on quite well. Lap 34 of 160 and still going. So great work there for the number 38 car, Paul Michalogic. Great job here in tonight's race. Howie Briss in 4th place. Again, our championship leader for this race here, or for the season. I mean, he's not exactly going to be in the worst spots after tonight's race, even if he does finish here in 4th place. but it is going to bring that championship ever closer. You know, to bringing that door open to just more drivers. We have basically, you could call it, let's say, on average, we see drivers get points of about almost 200 points a race. So with that in mind, you know, oh, our caution's out. Oh no, what happened here? I was busy looking at points standings, and we have a yellow flag out on the field. So let's see exactly what has happened here with the Team Goon Squad instant replay. Here, as we have a live camera view of Paul Mikolajic's car down the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I am a little bit confused here, folks. All right, well, we're going to have to see if we get an update from Race Control to see exactly what the cause of that was. I'm not exactly certain what the issue was there for that caution, but either way, either how, this is going to give the drivers an opportunity to come down into the pits, get themselves a fresh set of tires as well as some fuel if they need it here for the race. But that is also going to give us an opportunity up here in the booth to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned, folks. Don't go anywhere. We still have more of the Gateway 200 to bring you, as we still have just under 130 laps left to go here for the Gateway 200 as drivers get their way back out onto track. Sean Williams, Nicholas Lavelle going to be first and seconds with Tony Hilbrand sitting in third. So we will be right back, folks. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, and we will have more of the Gateway 200 when we come back. We will have more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. And we are back, folks. As we come down the back straightaway, the lights are off on the pace car. And when we come out of turn 4, the green flag will drop here once again here at Gateway for the Gateway 200. Sean Williams, Nicholas Lavelle in your first row. Tony Hilbrands, Howie Briss in your second row. Paul Mikolajcic and Ashley Lyle in your third row. Pace car is in. Waiting to enter the restart zone here. And away we go. Sean Williams, the 89 car, taking exactly no time to get on the loud pedal and heading into turn 1. Tony Hilbrands, Nicholas Lavelle going to be side by side here. Heading out of turn 2 here. That does not take long, though, for Nicholas Lavelle to find the line away from Tony Hilbrands. And look at this. There is battles happening all the way down the back straightaway. There was almost 4 wide there for just a moment. James Miller, who I forgot to mention at the start of the race, as well as Patrick Colby, were served an EOL for the start of the race tonight due to race infractions at Road America. Paul Mikolajcic, little bit of a moment there. Was that Paul Mikolajcic? Indeed, it was the number 38 car. Not exactly certain what happened there. He drops down extremely low here. He's sitting in 5th place trying to hold off Sean Williams, Scott Shire, James Miller, who all behind him are just looking like a bunch of angry bees here. Here on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see Charles Jurick's in-car camera, the number 76 machine, sitting in 9th place here at this point. Here on this second restart, and now that drivers have kind of had an opportunity to come down into the pits, get on a fresh set of tires and fill up on fuel if they need to. Things have been extended a little bit, so now that, well, actually I'm not sure if that really changes things too much. It might actually still be a 3-stop race now. Okay, I don't think anyone's really going to be too bold to try and stay out any longer, but as I just said that, and I look at timing and scoring, Sean Williams is showing that he has not come down into the pits. He has not got a fresh set of tires to work with. He is still working on the same bit of fuel, and it's definitely showing at the tail end of this field right now. You know, it's going to be tough to be able to work with that, to be able to get up the field anyhow, but he is in a position where he can play a strategy game. He can play it very well, and we've seen Sean Williams do just that. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that as this race progresses on. And James Miller trying to get a little bit of pressure here to Benny Hogan here down the back straightaway. Here's we're going to look back up front for just a moment, looking with Tony Hilbrandt and Howie Briss, both sitting in 2nd and 3rd, which ironically in the championship they would be flip-flopped. And Nicholas Lavelle all the way up at the very tippy top of this race here. So now that Howie Briss has cracked his way up here into the top 3, I mean, folks, this is why the championship is so exciting here for the VRL Cup Series. I mean, we are just seeing extremely close battles here, and we're halfway through the season essentially at this point. I mean, this is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. The battles that we see here week after week. James Miller, Benny Hogan there, almost side by side for just a moment down the front straightaway, settling out there as they work their way through turn 1. And ignore the first caution. That is not accurate. That is just timing and scoring updating itself as we're switching scenes around. But looking at the top of your screen, you can see James Miller as well as Benny Hogan kind of in a line here, working their way down the front straightaway. James Miller sitting in that 7th place spot here. Down on the bottom of our screens, you're looking at Sean Williams as well as Alex Anderson sitting in 12th place. Alex Anderson is 16th is Sean Williams at this point in time. And it looks like the number 9 of Patrick Colby is up here trying to get in on some of the mix here as well. Not exactly certain if we have some technical difficulties here with timing and scoring. There might be something going on here, but either way, either how, the race is still going on. And battles are still kind of slowly brewing up here. I mean, we're not exactly seeing anyone trying to drive the wheels off their machine here quite yet. I still have a feeling that it will happen at some point. Here, Paul Mikolajczyk, you know, after starting at the front of this field and sitting in 5th place right now still, I mean, I got to hand it to Paul right now. He has got the fight in him, and it's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet for Paul, and I think that he wants to put himself in a podium position as James Miller. Man, oh man, that was quite the drive into turn 3. It almost looked like he was going to slam into the back end of Benny Hogan there. Able to keep it together. That looked mighty, mighty close. Let's take a moment, however. Let's go ahead and ride on board here with Mr. James Miller in the number 09 machine. And let's have a listen to a lap or two around Gateway here with James for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Great driving here from James Miller as he comes down the back straightaway. The 09 car, you know, after having served that EOL for the start of the race here, sitting in 7th place, up 10 spots from where he started. That is phenomenal work here for James Miller. And James sitting in 9th place in the championship, you know, a lot of these drivers, they're not, frankly, none of these drivers are all here to compete for a championship. I mean, the bragging rights is fun and all, but it's all about just racing and having fun at the end of the day and being competitive. You know, the competitive nature of every single one of these drivers is always there. You know, I see it with the banter after every single race. You know, drivers are butting heads with each other and saying, I won't go into details, but the point being is that every single one of these drivers wants to do one thing and one thing only: win. And I gotta agree with that sentiment. You know, if you're of that winning spirit, you know, it's the satisfaction of coming across that line, knowing that you are the one in first place. I don't know. It's a great feeling. Where no matter if it's in sim or if it's in real life, taking that checkered flag and knowing that you're the one at the top of the field, always a great feeling. And that's what every single one of these drivers here is chasing week after week. As we continue along here, we're looking at Ashley Lyle, Paul Mikolajczyk trying to get much of a draft here as he can, trying to build up some speed, maybe set up for a pass. Might also just be trying to conserve here at this point, just trying to keep things easy, keep things green. And I have a feeling that a lot of this field might be feeling the same way, you know, just given the circumstances of this track, or given how this track is. It's tough. These cars are a handful, and it goes on from there. Dawn has asked, what is the points system for the series? Now, let me pull that up here for you because things get a little bit interesting. So, from what I understand, the point systems they follow the old Winston Cup format. So, first place will get 175 points, second place is 170, third is 165, fourth is 160, fifth 155. You can pretty much go down 5 points. Well, it gets a little weirder from there, but you can look up the Winston Cup format, and that'll give you a little bit of an idea. We do have bonus points available for drivers here as well. If you win, that's 5 bonus points. You lead a lap, That's 5 points. Most laps led is 5 points. Qualified on pole is 5 points. Second is 4, 3, 2, 1 for the top 5 positions. So there are plenty of opportunities for points, and given the championship and how it's sitting right now, I don't know. I really don't know. This is going to get quite interesting as we progress on through the season here, and frankly, I'm excited for it. Now that I mention it, let's actually go through and take a look at some of our schedule and see where we're going to be the next couple weeks. So once we are done here at Gateway, the next race that we are going to be is at Michigan. So next week, June 20th, will be the Michigan 200 at Michigan International Speedway. Going to be the first time actually at my home state track, so that will be fun for myself. I've actually never called a race at MIS or even ever been to the track itself, so I don't know whether I should be ashamed of that or what have you. But anyway, anyhow, we will be there for the Michigan 200, and after that will be Texas, and that will officially be the halfway point through our season. So I don't know, folks. A long season left to go, and with how the points are already shaping up to be, we're going to see drivers kind of swapping back and forth for that lead in the championship all season long here at this point, and I'm all for it. I am absolutely all for it. Howie Briss, Tony Hillbrands, Nicholas Lavelle, Sean Williams, Jaden Hopp, Benny Hogan, all 6 of these drivers, really. I mean, you can even include Scott Shire in that. He's a little further behind than the rest, but really all of these drivers here are extremely close to one another in that point standings, and I expect to see things get real spicy as the season progresses on. Here, as we're going to get another side-by-side view, as we have Jaden Hopp on the right-hand side of your screen in the number 81 car, sitting in 9th place here currently. You can see on the left-hand side, down the back straightaway. On the left-hand side of your screen, though, we're locked on here with Howie Briss, duking it out with Tony Hillbrands for that 3rd place spot here in the race. Oh, a little bit of shuffling happening here between Paul Mikolajczyk as well as James Miller. Steadied out very quickly between these drivers. I don't think any one of these drivers want to see a caution come out. I think every single one of them is in the same mindset that they want to keep it green, as Shire gets a little bit loose there in front of Hopp. Down the back straightaway, Hopp's able to take advantage of that. He's going to work his way, well, try to work his way past the number 4 of Shire. Scott with a good recovery there out of turn 4. Down the front straightaway, it's not going to be enough, though. Jaden able to make the pass up into 8th place here. Benny Hogan now going to be his next target, ahead of him in 7th place. Here, as quite the battle is brewing between Paul Mikolajczyk, Tony Hillbrands, James Miller. Miller down on the inside of Hillbrands. Into turn 3, he's out in front. Getting on the tail of Paul Mikolajczyk here out of turn 3 into 4, and out of 4 now down the front straightaway. Miller looking down on the inside of Paul Mikolajczyk here. He's going to be setting himself up for a pass if he can do so. Paul sees it. Is he going to do anything about it here? He's up in front of James Miller, trying to give him as much of a run as he possibly can here. Miller setting himself up here once again into turn 3. He's up ahead just by a marginal amount here. Once we come out of 4, we'll see. Yep, there it is. That is it. Actually, no, it's not. Paul Mikolajczyk, he's able to get quite the speed out of 4. Keeping up with Miller, staying right as close as he can, but that's right there. That mistake right there just cost him. Out of turn 2, and here we have a pit stop underway. Alex Anderson, the number 67 machine, going to be starting his pit cycle here today. Second one for the race here on lap 64 of 160. Now, I didn't exactly get a confirmation on what the first caution was for and who it was caused by. I, for some reason, had some sneaking suspicions that it might have been Alex Anderson, the number 67, but again, I didn't get any confirmation on that. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but it looks like there might have been some issues there with with Alex's car there with the front end. I have no confirmation of that. I'm not exactly certain if that is the case here, but as I say that, it looks like Anderson has, he's decided to call it a night here. He's taken the car behind the wall, and that is going to be the end of the number 67's race here tonight. Unfortunate to see that. But again, I think that might have had something to do with that first caution. I don't know if he got into the wall somewhere, if he spun out, what the case might have been. But either way, either how, Alex deciding that is going to be the end of his race here tonight. As James Miller here getting right on the tail end of Howie Briss. James Miller definitely one of the best hard chargers here tonight, as another hard charger here in this race, Ashley Lyle, the number 51 machine, and sitting in second place right now. She's got quite the gap between Nicholas Lavelle in first place and James Miller just behind her in third place at this moment. But to be up here in this second place spot right now with all of this clean air around you, I mean, got to be feeling pretty confident. It's all about just maintaining speed, keeping that consistency the rest of the way forward. But we still have some drivers making their way down into pit lane here. James Coulibaly, as well as Sean Williams just behind him, the number 89 machine, making their way down into pit lane here. So that second pit stop here kind of starting a little bit earlier than I might have expected. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, James has come down into the pits 3 times already. Sean Williams, this will be his first time down into pits. So Sean Williams here kind of setting the benchmark for the fuel stints here for today's race. Lap 68 is when he's going to be in. So great work there for Sean Williams, being able to extend it as long as he's had. And frankly, he might have also been kind of expecting / hoping for a caution to come out to be able to help him solidify that even further. But that's always tough to do, and it's always tough to bank on here as well. And bank on is kind of that's a hard word to say. Either way, point being said, Sean Williams kind of taking a chance there with that, staying out as long as he's had here for this race. But he knows just as well as I do, and everyone else watching the broadcast, hopefully. If you don't, I'm about to tell you, fuel stops here for these drivers are going to start here very, very soon. Drivers came down into pit road lap 36 for that first caution, so we still got a little bit of ways left to go here. But Sean Williams and other drivers that are making their way down into the pits here, kind of in this lap 60-ish, lap 70-ish margin, they're going to be able to stay ahead of the rest of the field once they come down into the pits. That's going to cycle the field around just a little bit. Not exactly going to be kind of written in stone as far as where they're going to end up at the end of the race here, but that will give them a chance. It will give them a chance, and that is always nothing to be shy of. So as we continue on here, Howie Briss able to crack his way around Paul Mikolajczyk here up into 4th place. Howie now going to try and get his way back up into 3rd, into that top 3. And speaking of the top 3 here, you know, Nicholas Lavelle, he has held on to this lead here for quite some time, and frankly, I love to see it. Great work all around here. Here as we're going to get another picture-in-picture view here. So down on the bottom of our screen, we're looking at Jaden Hopp duking it out here with Tony Hillebrands. He also got Scott Shire just behind them. Looks like Scott Shire there with just a little bit of a wobble coming out of turn 4. Great work keeping it together, though. But Nicholas Lavelle, he has done a phenomenal job in this race, and frankly, with almost a 3-second gap between himself and Ashley Lyle in that 2nd place spot, I mean, it's going to be tough to try and compete with that. You're looking at, I mean, what can you do in that situation? We're wrecking Tony Hillebrands. Oh, no, Scott Shire involved here as well. I don't know if Tony Hilbrand just got a little bit loose there or what the case was. So we're going to go ahead and get our instant replay spooled up here for you folks. We're taking a look at the replay on the top of our screen here. There's Tony Hilbrand's on the top of Jaden Hopp. Shire gets into the rear end, coming into turn 3, just a little bit too hot. I don't think that Shire was expecting Hilbrand's to be there, and ultimately he didn't have anywhere else to go and other than to the rear end of the 92. So unfortunate to see that bring out the second caution here of tonight's race. I mean, that is absolutely tough. But this is going to give our drivers that decided to come down into pit road for that first caution another opportunity to come down here once again for the next one. So we're going to see our drivers come down here into pit road here once again. We're looking at Tony Hilbrand's in the number 92 machine making his way down there into pit road here at this point in time. So Scott Shire here is he's going to be able to take advantage of this of this caution here and of the drivers making their way down into the pits. Given that, well, actually, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting move here from Scott Shire. He is going to opt to stay out from the rest of the field. He was one of the drivers that came down into pit road during that first caution and decided to stay out here during the second caution here. So going to be interesting to see here. Oh, nope, never mind. Right as I say that, Shire's coming down into pit lane. He is saying, nope, nope, nope. I am not going to make that decision. That sounds like a bad idea. It probably is a bad idea. He's gonna correct that. He's gonna come down into pit lane here. Unfortunately, gonna give up a few spots, quite a few of them actually, by making that call a little bit later than the rest of the field. But either way, either how, you don't want to get caught out of the race by being on older tires or running out of fuel. A smart move from Scott Shire, nonetheless. I mean, it definitely hurts sacrificing that lead position, but at the end of the day, you're going to put yourself in a better position by getting on a fresh set of tires, getting that fuel in the tank, and setting yourself up for what is probably going to be, I would say, probably the second to last stop of the night. We might see, I think we'll see one more pit stop here before the end of the race, and that will be all that we're going to see here as far as pit stops are concerned. So Ashley Lyle here, after Sean Williams is going to get the wave around. He is the next driver down a lap. So once we make our way across the line, the 89 will get that wave around, and he will be able to get back onto the lead lap with the rest of the field and join the drivers, or join the rest of the field at the tail end. As Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle here, going to be setting up in the first row. Paul Mikolajczyk, Benny Hogan going to be in our second row here, with Howie Briss and Jaden Hopp in our third row here on this restart. So down the back straightaway we go. The lights are off on the pace car. Again, it's Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle in your first row, Paul Mikolajczyk, Benny Hogan in your second row, Jaden Hopp and Howie Briss in our third row. Ashley Lyle here going to be looking to try and put herself, well, in a podium position here for today's race, and so far she's looked quite steady, up 12 spots from where she started at the beginning of this race here today. So I'm expecting to see quite the drive here from the 51 car, but she's got quite the competition around here with Nicholas Lavelle, who's led the majority of the laps here in today's race. As the pace car is down into pit lane, you see Sean Williams quickly catching up to the field here as we enter into the restart zone here at Gateway. And away we go. Ashley Lyle with the jump here on the field. Nicholas Lavelle trying to see what he can do here to set himself up going into turn 1. But Ashley here, phenomenal job, phenomenal start here for this second restart. As we work our way out of turn 2, a couple drivers banging their way out of turn 2 down the back straightaway, leaving some paint on the wall as a memoir of their race here today at Gateway. Benny Hogan stuck on the outside of the line here, sitting in 5th place here at this point in time. Down the front straightaway, Jaden Hopp now going to be down, well, not quite. Looked like he was going to set himself up for a pass down on the inside line, but that did not last for long here. Here as we get a little bit of side-by-side view of what's still happening out on track here. We've got Sean Williams as well as Patrick Colby duking it out side-by-side there. Just ahead of them, Matthew Fitz, James Miller, and as well as Tony Hilbrands. All single file here. Ashley Lyle trying to keep up momentum here. As Nicholas Lavelle starting to gain a little bit of speed here. Let's actually ride on board here for just a moment with Nicholas Lavelle and have a listen on the inside of the number 10 machine for just a little bit here at Gateway for the Gateway 200. Nicholas Lavelle here showing great control behind that number 10 car. And frankly, it's a testament to just how how he's been able to lead as many laps as he's had here today for the Gateway 200. And if you'll notice, things are starting to look a little bit more orange out on track as the sun is starting to set. And folks, if you are not all that familiar with the iRacing service, which is what we are bringing you this race on here today, excuse me, the iRacing service, not so recently introduced a weather model, essentially, that allow the track conditions to change based on the weather, based on where the sun is. You know, if it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun is just baking down on the track, it will reflect that. If it's cloudy out, if it's a little overcast or a lot of overcast and there's not a whole lot of sun poking through, it'll reflect that. You know, if you start off the day with the sun out and you go into the night with the lights on the racetrack will reflect that. And it's really unique to see just how the racing surface changes as that progresses on. So we're going to start to see drivers not only deal with hot tires, hot rubber on the track, but they're going to start to see the track slowly cool down. And when that happens, well, things start to get rather slippery out on track. So with still, well, frankly, just about 80 laps left to go here, just under that, 76 laps left to go here, if you'll call it. I'm not exactly certain if we'll be under the lights by the time we see the checker flag. I'll have to imagine that we will. I don't remember if Gateway has lights or not. I'm trying to remember if they do, and looking out on camera, I don't know I think they do. Okay, so I think they do have lights. All right, good. I was a little concerned there for a second that we would be racing without any lights, but that is not going to be of concern here as we continue on with our race. And speaking of which, Ashley Lyle still doing a phenomenal job holding on to this lead here. with Nicholas Lavelle still hot on her heels, trying to get all the momentum that she can. And right as we bring up the camera of Jaden Hopp down on the right-hand side of our screen, down on the inside of Paul Mikolajczyk, you can see, we just saw him get a little bit wobbly there for just a moment, but able to keep it together. Here as we've got quite the battles brewing up back here. Here is now, we're going to get the inside camera of Benny Hogan, the number 5 machine here in this battle. Look at this pack of drivers. Paul Mikolajczyk, Charles Jurek, Benny Hogan, Tony Hilbrands, James Miller. All battling it out here down the back straightaway into turn 3. Very, very good work here from everyone. Tony Hilbrands, a little bit of a wobble there as all the dirty air falling off the back of the 76 as well as Benny Hogan's car start to affect the tail end of this field here. You know, and that's one of the challenging parts here of trying to follow along in a pack like this as Charles Jurek taps the rear end of Benny Hogan coming out of turn 2, sends him sideways into the grass, down on the grass on the back straightaway. The caution comes out here for the Gateway 200 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Man, oh man, what a way to bring out the caution here. That was, woo! I gotta say, folks, that was intense to watch. Here as we're gonna get an instant replay. Man, just a little tap from the 76 to the rear end of Benny Hogan. That's enough to send him spinning sideways down the back straightaway onto the grass into the infield. Man, oh man. I really, you know, I wish we could have a way, you know, where we did like kind of like Formula 1 or NASCAR, if you will, where you have team radios and all that stuff and you kind of listen in on what the drivers are saying. Obviously, we can't do that because as per iRacing broadcast policy, we can't say the naughty words, and unfortunately our drivers here, no matter what league we're in, tend to say the naughty words more often than we would like them to for the live broadcast when they're not in the booth, you know, for an interview or anything like that. When they're driving and emotions are running and things are a little hot, yeah, tempers are flaring, some words are said that, well, when you're on air, and for small guys like us at Team Goon Squad, it's not exactly always easy for us to blurt things out. Anyway, anyhow, third caution out here at lap 89 of 160. The drivers are going to take this opportunity to come down into the pits, get a fresh set of tires as well as some fuel here for what is probably, oh man, I don't know, because we keep seeing drivers come down into the pits. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, seeing that drivers, most of our field here has come down into the pits 3 times already for this race. I'm not sure if all of them took tires. Some of them might have just taken fuel. I can't say for certain. I'm not 100% certain here. Looking at James Miller at this point in time, he came down lap 73. That was during that second caution. So with about a 10 lap difference, I don't know. I'm kind of confuzzled here. We'll have to wait and see. There's still a possibility. I mean, I'm certain actually that there will be one more stop here before the end of the race here tonight, but it's just a matter of when, I suppose. I'm trying to follow along with what these drivers are doing here strategy-wise, but everyone's got different games. Everyone's got different ideas of what they want to do. So, with that out of the way here, folks, I think this is going to be probably the last, well, hopefully not the last time. Well, actually, I said that wrong. Hopefully the last time that we kind of see this interruption to our green flag action, if you will. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, having these cautions come out, I mean, racing incidents are going to happen. That's always bound to happen, but these cautions are good for, I would say, one reason and one reason only. it's to restack the field. It's to get these drivers a chance to get another opportunity at moving up positions a little bit faster than what we normally would under green flag conditions. Now, green flag, you might not see a driver ahead of you for laps and laps and laps. I mean, it might take you a long time to be able to bring down that 4 or 5 second gap that's been building up over the last 80 laps or so. I mean, I'm talking all theoretical here. This is all just theoretical, but my point being, if you're one of those drivers that's sitting down in 7th or 8th place or wherever, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I've got this gap to this driver ahead of me and I just can't close it. This is where these cautions are I would say, a good thing. And I don't want to be the commentator that brings out the curse that we all know and love, love, quote unquote. But it is always good to see the field get another opportunity at some green flag action here, as we're getting ourselves ready for our third restart of the night. James Miller, Ashley Lyle here in the front row. Howie Briss, Nicholas Lavelle in your second row. Jaden Hopp, Paul Mikolajczyk in your third row. Pace car is in. Into the restart we go. James Miller. A little bit better restart this time around. He's able to get himself ahead of Ashley Lyle just by enough into turn 1 and out of turn 2. Building up that momentum coming out of turn 2 down the front straightaway. You're looking at Ashley Lyle's in-car camera as she's able to make that pass here into first place, able to get herself a little bit of distance here between herself and James Miller. We're riding on board with Nicholas Lavelle on the bottom right-hand side now. As we're looking at the back of the field here, James Coulibaly in that number 12 machine. Again, these restarts give all of our drivers an opportunity to work their way up the field, make passes where passes are possible. Get themselves ready for what will be probably the final stint of the race here. Into turn 3, Sean Williams, Charles Jurek, almost seemingly a little bit of contact between those two drivers. As we're gonna get some little bit more side-by-side views here. Sean Williams, Charles Jurek here, still duking it out side by side, doing all that they can here. On the bottom of your screen, you can see Howie Briss as well as James Miller. Both duking it out here side by side, down the back straightaway. A lot of this field here starting to look fairly single file. Oh no, I heard that. Charles Jurek. Oh man, James Coulibaly is well involved in this one. Bringing out the 4th caution here of the race. Let's see exactly what unfolded here. Oh, Jurek with a tap from Tony Hilbrands, it seems like. Tony Hilbrands also not able to get away from that one. As he gets a tap from James Coulibaly. Man, oh man. And there I go. I had to say it. That commentator's curse, man. I had to say it. Well, folks, with the 4th caution out here today, we're going to take this moment and take a commercial break. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, as we have more of the Gateway 200 right here. And we will be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Alrighty, folks, and welcome back to Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Gateway 200, the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series, brought to you live here on Team Goon Squad. If you're just now tuning in, this has been quite the race here thus far for VRL, for all these drivers, and right now Ashley Lyle sitting at the very tippy top of the pole after working her way 12 positions through this field. Going to be looking to try and take away at least a podium, possibly a win here tonight at Gateway. We'll just have to wait and see what the number 51 machine has in store. For tonight's race, Nicholas Lavelle going to be in the second place spot here on our first row. Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp in our second row. James Miller and Paul Mikolajczyk in our third row here for today's race. And as the lights are still on the pace car, let's go ahead and take a look at our point standings here. Once again, if you're just now tuning into the broadcast, just to give you an idea of just how close this points battle is for the championship. Howie Briss, Tony Hilbrandt, Nicholas Lavelle, Sean Williams, Jaden Hopp, and Benny Hogan, all 6 of these drivers essentially all are very, very close in points, and frankly, any one of them, I mean, if, let's say, if Tony Hilbrandt were to come away with a win tonight, more than likely, he would be the next championship leader. If Nicholas Lavelle comes away with a win tonight, he would more than likely be the next championship leader. Now, we won't know that for certain until points are all said and done here, but the fact that we have what is essentially a 6-way battle for the championship is just absolutely incredible. Here, as we see our drivers making their way down the back straightaway with the lights off on the pace car. Once we make our way out of turn 4, pace car will duck its way down into pit lane. And when we cross the checkered line, it'll bring us lap 100 here of today's race. Pace car is in. Let's see who's going to get the jump on this start as we go into the restart zone. Ashley Lyle on the jump this time around the number 51 machine with just a little bit over of a quarter of a second gap into turn 1. Let's see how long she's able to retain that here as we work our way out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp here side by side as Matthew Fitz dives it down the track coming out of turn 2. Almost collided with other drivers there in that incident here as well, but manages to keep it together. Lap 100 of a 160 here for the Gateway 200. Here we've got Tony Hilbrandt, Sean Williams, Scott Shire, as well as Patrick Colby all duking it out here. Oh no! James Miller, Paul Mikolajczyk, both having a little bit of a moment here. As we're going to take a look at the replay here and see what happened. Oh, Miller coming out of turn 2, just gets into the rear end of the 38, sends him spinning into the infield down the back straight. Hopefully not too much damage was done to either machine. It looks like the 38 still able to stay out on track here. The 09 as well, able to make their way back out onto track here. But that is going to come at a cost here. 5th caution of the race here tonight. With Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle, Howie Briss all still in our top 3 here. Couple drivers making their way down into pit road here as we await the pace car to get its lights off and get ourselves ready for the next start of today's race. So what a phenomenal race that we've had here today, folks. If you're tuning in, if you've been here for a little bit now, folks, I hope you've all enjoyed the action here thus far. I know it's, well, we've kind of started to see some of these late race cautions start to show their face here tonight. But as with any other race, cautions will come out, and like they say, like the old saying goes, cautions breed cautions, and I really don't want to contribute to it. I hope to see drivers kind of get themselves locked up here, get themselves kicked into gear, and get ready for what is going to be pretty much the final stint of the race here, I would have to imagine. I mean, not exactly. There's still a few drivers. Well, actually, most of this field, I think, is going to have to come back down at least one more time, looking at timing and scoring, but we'll just have to wait and see. No one's taken the bait yet as far as this caution is concerned. So I mean, there's a few drivers down towards the back field that have decided to come down into the pits, but they're at a point in the race where I don't think they're too worried about taking the loss in position to get that fresh set of tires and fuel or what have you. But I think once our Ford Mustang pace car makes it across the checkered line here, indeed, the lights will go off. So this is the last time around with the pace car before we go back to green flag racing here. So here we go, down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. It's Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle in your first row, Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss in your second row, Matthew Fitz and Benny Hogan in your third row. As we make our way out of turn 4. The pace car makes its way down into pit lane here. Heading into the restart zone, the Geico-sponsored restart zone here at Gateway. Ashley Lyle with the restart. Very phenomenal work after we've seen her do this a couple times here already in this race and able to maintain that consistency. That's exactly what's going to play in your favor here in a race like today. Making our way down the back straightaway here. All these drivers doing a phenomenal job here after seeing all these kind of mishaps here late in the race here. We're looking at Sean Williams down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. He's got Tony Hilbrand's right on his outside here as well. Or excuse me, that's Scott Shire there on his outside as we're looking at Howie Briss here sitting in 4th place. here at the top 4. A lot of this field towards the front, opting to go single file here for the most part. Here as Tony Hilbrand's gonna try and go side by side here with Matthew Fitz into turn 1. They bang doors for just a moment. Fitz is gonna get sent up to the wall. Able to recover it. Tony Hilbrand, though, he's struggling. He goes into the 69 of Matthew Fitz and sends it spinning down onto the bottom of the track, down the back straightaway. The 92 machine having to get it spun back around here, back out onto track. Tony Hilbrand's not going to be happy here with that one. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the replay here at exactly what unfolded here for Tony. There we see it. Yeah, there's that second contact there into the rear end of Matthew Fitz, and Matthew, just like a brick wall, not moving anywhere, and Tony Hilbrand's, that's just going to get the front end of that 92 unsettled and send him spinning down to the bottom of the track here. Unfortunate here for Tony, and especially knowing that we're staying green here. That did not bring out a caution. That was what is essentially a one-car incident. I mean, even knowing that Tony got into Matthew Fitz, Matthew wasn't essentially affected by it. He's still sitting up here in 10th place here. So he's still running. He's not exactly any worse than where he was at already. So things already starting to play out here very interestingly for this race. As here looking back up front here with Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle, Jaden Hobb. Lavelle, after leading quite a number of laps here for today's race, finding himself behind the 51 of Ashley at this point. He's been trying lap after lap to find a line around Ashley here. She has put up quite the fight here tonight at Gateway, and I don't think any driver here that would be in the lead is going to be giving up a fight that easily. We saw Paul Mikulajczyk at the beginning of the race, who, I mentioned is throughout the season has kind of been a midfield driver, had an opportunity to lead some laps here, and he saw some fight there. Definitely saw some fight there for the 38 car, but he did well. He did extremely well, staying up there in the top 5 for, I would say, 30, 40, 50 laps, somewhere in that margin. Back into 11th place now that fuel stops and everything have kind of come into play here and set the 38 car back a little ways. But either way, a phenomenal start here for Paul Mikulajczyk's race, and for Ashley Lyle here kind of halfway through the race, having an opportunity here now that she's, again, worked her way up 12 spots since the beginning of this race. She's got an opportunity here to come away with, at the very least, potentially a podium. Right now, very likely a win if she can keep up this momentum that she's got. And right now, she's got Nicholas Lavelle still right hot on her heels, and I don't know exactly what she's going to do to kind of respond to that, if you will. That is not a caution coming out here, folks. We are just taking an inside car camera view of Nicholas Lavelle's machine there on the bottom of our screen as we're looking at the battle for the lead down the front straightaway. So again, a lot of these drivers here, after all of these, after all the cautions that we've seen here already, I have a feeling that a lot of drivers are going to want to be taking things a little bit more cautiously, not terribly much more, as, man, look at this. Down on the bottom of our screen, Nicholas Lavelle doing everything that he possibly can to give Ashley a run for her money here. And at the top of our screen, Paul Mikulajczyk, Matthew Fitz duking it out. We've just got action all over the place here, folks. Here's, we'll get a little bit of a better idea of what's happening between these battles here at this point. Excellent, excellent driving throughout our field here. Lap 116 of 160. Here for the race today. As we're going to be about to the 3/4 of the way mark. In just a few laps here, if my elementary math serves me correctly. So a lot of calm, steady racing here, folks, that we've kind of grown accustomed here with Velocity Racing League. You know, all of these drivers are so talented, every single one of them. I mean, you know, we see some of them have some bad races. We see some of them make some mistakes here and there. But, folks, I cannot speak for these drivers enough on their abilities behind the wheel. I mean, it is just truly incredible how fast these drivers are and how well they're able to drive cars that just inherently want to not drive very well. I mean, these cars are extremely tough to handle, and if you're not experienced, if you're not confident with your abilities, you're going to struggle. And these drivers don't show any of that. I see pure confidence in every single one of these drivers, every single race, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it, week in and week out. And speaking of week in and week out, you know, these drivers really don't get to see a whole lot of breaks between their races in this season. I mean, looking at my schedule here, it seems that we had one race. We had a break in February, we had one in April, and since then we have not had a break in between races, and we won't have another one until September 5th, which is ironically my spouse's birthday is what I meant to say. She is my girlfriend, aka my spouse. So that is a little ironic, but either way, either how, you know, the fact that these drivers have that many races, you know, back to back to back, it's tough. You know, you're setting yourself up, you're putting in practice, I mean, if any at all, and getting yourself ready for a race week for that long. It's tough. It's very, very tough, and a lot of these drivers just make it look so easy. But now that a lot of our field here has started to spread out here, now that I'm noticing it quite a little bit more, and now that I'm looking at the track map, it doesn't show it that well. It really doesn't exemplify just how far the field has started to spread out here. But here we still see Nicholas Lavelle trying to get everything that he possibly can here. To get to the rear end of Ashley. And it's just proven to be quite the challenge here, it seems like. As we're getting a side-by-side picture, we've got Benny Hogan, James Miller, as well as Howie Briss duking it out on the right-hand side of your screen for that 4th place spot. Here's we have the battle for the lead on the left-hand side of our screen here. Now, folks, I want to take this time here, while we're watching a lovely, lovely race here with Velocity Racing League for the Gateway 200, I want to take this time to mention that if you are a driver that likes ARCA, likes the ARCA car, likes to be in series that race the ARCA car, if you are looking for setups and find yourself in need of one, head on over to the Team Goon Squad website, and we will have available our Season 3 setups for the ARCA car available on the Team Goon Squad website. So head on over to teamgoonsquad.com and look for our setup shop under the oval section, I believe, and you will find the ARCA Chevrolet Impala there for Season 3, and hopefully you will find exactly what you are looking for Season 3 of the iRacing Season 2. Or Season 3, or... Anyway, point being, we got what you need. Head on over to teamgoonsquad.com and we'll get you squared away and ready for your race day. Whether that be maybe for here at the Velocity Racing League, or if you're just trying to get yourself a higher I rating or safety rating, or maybe just want to be a little bit faster out on track. We got exactly what you're looking for. Head on over to our Discord as well. We've got plenty of other drivers, like-minded individuals that are always willing to help out each other and, frankly, hone each other's craft and enjoy the sport of racing. Because, frankly, there's no other sport like it. Folks, I appreciate football, I appreciate baseball and basketball and all those other sports. It's a very physically demanding sport. Appreciate all of it, but you know what? There's just nothing quite like ripping a car around a track, 150 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour, whatever your flavor is, the faster the better for me personally. Speed is everything, man. I absolutely love it. So, and I think that a lot of these drivers here probably feel exactly the same way. Here on a lap 127 of 160 right now, again, this field taking it quite easy at this point in the race, I have a feeling. We only have a couple drivers that have decided to call it a night here. Michael Keithley, Alex Anderson, both deciding to call it a night here very early on at the race here. Michael Keithley coming in lap 68, taking it behind the wall. Alex Anderson just 5 laps earlier on lap 63 is when he decided to take it behind the wall. So not too many drivers here have, found themselves out of the race due to incidents or what have you. Maybe it's just they're not happy with how the car is driving or what the case may be. But either way, it's been a phenomenal race thus far. And Nicholas Lavelle, still trying everything in his power to get around this 51 machine. It just seems like, it might even be that Nicholas is saving here. He might just be conserving a little bit, just patiently waiting. He might even be aware that there's still the possibility of I'm pretty sure there is another fuel stop here that they're going to have to make before they see the checkered flag, and that might even shake up our field here even more significantly as things progress on. We're on lap 130 right now. The last time drivers were in here, Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle, Jaden Hopp, Benny Hogan, Howie Briss, Scott Shire, any of these drivers, they came down lap 88. Ooh, Ashley a little bit loose there into 3, keeps it together. Nicholas Lavelle able to capitalize on that just a little bit. Staying on the rear end, out of turn 4, down the back straightaway. Nothing coming up that this time around, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, back to my point. So we're on lap 131. Drivers came in lap 88. I'm going to expect to see drivers probably coming down here. Probably lap 140. Between lap 140 to 150 is kind of where I'm expecting to see that marker to come into play here for pit stops. James Miller, on the other hand, sitting in 4th place here at this moment. He came in lap 103. If you remember, we're seeing lap windows of about 55 to 65. So James here, he's kind of in a very opportunistic spot. If once the rest of the drivers ahead of him come down into pit lane, he doesn't really have any reason to. He might want to be able to stay on fresher tires. but I don't really see that happening. I'm not exactly certain. He might be able to stay out long enough and stay ahead long enough to come away with a win. It's too tough to say right now, folks, but it's very close. James Miller might be in the hot seat here once things are all said and done, if these drivers come back down into pit lane here once things are all said and done. I want to take a moment here. I want to ride on board here with Nicholas Lavelle. Ride on board here with the roll bar camera on the inside of Nicholas Lavelle's 10 machine. Actually, scratch that. Let's go back to his helmet camera. I love this view. Just seeing the input from the steering wheel and all that these drivers have to do to be able to keep these cars going straight here. And let's have a moment to listen in on a lap here, kind of late stage here for the drivers in the lead. Here with Nicholas Lavelle in the number 10 machine. Now, I don't know if you just heard it at home, folks, but you could hear Nicholas Lavelle downshifting there through turns 1 and 2. And, frankly, myself, driving these ARCAs, I always find it very strange kind of downshifting through these turns. It always feels kind of funky. I don't know if it's because I use paddles for these cars. I know that probably a lot of people will freak out when I say that, but yes, I do in fact use paddles for these cars when I race with them. As unpopular of an idea as that might be, that's what I work with. And frankly, what I find downshifting like that through these turns, it always is tricky. I find it sometimes will unsettle the car just a little bit if you do it a little too aggressively. And again, with how things I have set up, it's tough. It's a little challenging, but seeing that being played out here for these drivers, it gives you an idea of what it's like to have to stay fast around a track here like Gateway. And like I was talking about way a little bit earlier, probably about 45 minutes ago at this point, about halfway through this race, we were talking about how the sun was starting to set. We were seeing the lights go on the track here. Well, they weren't on at that point, but they were about to be. And now that the lights are on, we're going to see the track temperatures vary depending on where drivers are. And that's going to really start to play into here as we're in the final 23 laps of the race here. The track is getting a little bit colder, but the tires on these cars are still very much warm and are about at the point where they probably don't have much rubber left on them. And these drivers are probably going to expect to have to come down into the pits here in the next few laps, I would have to imagine. I was expecting about lap 140. Still about 3 or 4 more laps before we see that 140 mark come. And I don't know exactly if we're going to see that happen here tonight. We might just possibly see drivers try and just stick it out here all the way until the bitter end. Here, as we're going to get an inside camera view of Jaden Hopp in the 81 machine on the bottom of our screen. Still looking at the battle for the lead with Ashley Lyle and Nicholas Lavelle at the top of our screen. "21 laps left to go here at Gateway for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Nicholas Lavelle still trying everything, absolutely everything in his power to try and close in on Ashley Lyle here. And really, oh man, you can see these cars starting to get real loose here. Coming out of turn 2 there, James Miller getting right on the bumper of the 10 of Nicholas Lavelle here through turn 3. Out of 4 here, down the front straightaway. $19 laps left to go. This is where I'm going to expect to see drivers, these drivers at least, come down into the pits if they choose to do so. I mean, they might fight it all the way until the end here on these old tires, and that's going to be tough. That's going to be interesting to see here as well. Here as we get an in-car camera view of Nicholas Lavelle's machine on the bottom right side of your screen. James Miller looking down on the inside here, down the back straightaway into turn 3, pushes his way into second place around Nicholas Lavelle. Lavelle hot on the bumper of the 09 machine out of turn 4. Lavelle falling back just a little bit here as they work their way back into turn 1. 17 laps left to go. The 09 machine, he seems to be unleashing here in the final 17 laps of the race. Miller looking on the inside here through turn 3. And oh man, almost gets himself into a collision in 4. Taps the number 10 of Nicholas Lavelle ever so slightly. Lavelle down on the inside here through turn 1. Able to make the pass back into second place here. James Miller stuck on the outside. Now he's side by side with Jaden Hopp. Down the back straight once again. James Miller trying to get himself set up once again for another pass here if he can. Here as we're looking out the rear view of Nicholas Lavelle's machine. Mighty stacked up here for the battle for the lead with 15 laps left to go here for the Gateway 200 of the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Lavelle trying to close back in here on the 51 of Ashley Lyle in the Morton Salt machine. Laps left to go here, and at this point these 14 laps have got to feel like an eternity to these drivers. I mean, we've seen these drivers all just duking it out side by side, well, not necessarily side by side here, but just bumper to bumper, lap after lap, turn after turn, and knowing that, you know, a lot of these drivers here are probably going to be cutting it extremely close on fuel here, as well as tires. I mean, this is just going to be huge for these drivers here today. As Ashley Lyle, Nicholas Lavelle, James Miller, Jaden Hopp all cross the line here, bringing us 12 laps left to go here for the Gateway 200. taking a moment here. Let's take a look at our track map just to give you an idea of where this field has kind of started to find themselves at here in this point in the race. You know, looking at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see exactly just how far this field is starting to become. In between right now, looking at Patrick Colby, James Coulibaly just behind him in 12th place. Patrick Colby here in 11th. There's about just over a second gap between these two drivers, and really the only battle here that we have is the battle for the lead. So, I mean, in this final half of the race here, final stint of the race, I think drivers that, I mean, aren't up here in the top 4 right now have kind of decided, you know what, let's just get it all the way to the very end. Our race has essentially been set for at this point. It's been tough. This race has been absolutely tough through and through. I mean, with how flat this track is, man, it's tough. Any single one of these drivers, I mean, I don't think any one of them is going into this race tonight thinking that they're going to come away with a win here. Man, absolutely thrilling. But here, I want to get a moment to ride on board here with James Miller in the 09 machine. Let's have a lap around with James Miller here and get an idea of what it's like in third place right now, trying to stick behind Nicholas Lavelle. And remember, James Miller was served an EOL for this race here today, so he had to start at the tail end of the field as the number 10, Nicholas Lavelle, gets a little loose in front of him, almost gets it way out of shape there. The number 10 keeps it together. Oh, man. Only just, though. Nicholas Lavelle very close there. Man, you know, and folks, that is starting to show here how degraded the tires for these drivers on this lead lap right now are starting to look. I mean, again, all of these drivers came in lap 88 with the exception of James Miller. He has the freshest tires out of all of these drivers here. That is the reason why he is able to get the run here that he's able to do here with 7 laps left to go. And Ashley Lyle, she's going to be in trouble. I mean, James here, he is pushing right now behind the 51 Morton Salt machine of Ashley Lyle. And Ashley, as she gets a little bit unsettled there, keeping it together. James here still with the drive down the front straightaway. Almost looked like he was going to get a moment there to pass. Not quite this time around. But here, as we ride on board here with James Miller, or we were for just a moment, as he's starting to make this pass now for the lead, folks. Man, look at Ashley's car getting wicked sideways here, trying to fight that car, keep it straight as much as she can. And James Miller here, with 5 laps left to go, is going to be our leader here for the Gateway 200. Nicholas Lavelle, Ashley Lyle side by side there for just a moment. Ashley getting a little bit loose there, keeping it together down the back straight. Jaden Hopp, the 81 car, sees that, going to try and take advantage of that here going into turn 3. Down on the inside of the 51 through turn 3. Coming out of turn 4 now. Ashley trying to do all that she can here to stay in the podium. With 4 laps left to go, it is going to be tough. Little bit of a blink there from the 81 of Jaden Hopp, though, keeping it together nonetheless. The 51 of Ashley Lyle getting a little bit of support from behind of the 89 of Sean Williams. Sean Williams not going to give that support for very long, as he looked down on the inside heading into turn 3, backed off there for just a moment as Ashley dips down to the inside, heading out of turn 4 now, down the front straightaway. Coming across the line, it's 3 laps left to go here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Jaden Hopp, Sean Williams having a little bit of a scuffle back here for the 4th place spot here. James Miller, in the meantime, he has found himself exactly where he wants to be in this race. 3 laps left to go on the freshest set of tires amongst the drivers up here in the top 5 positions at this point in the race. All he's got to do now is just click off 2 more laps and bring it home for the win of the Gateway 200. But anything can still happen here with these 2 laps. Here as we're going to take a side-by-side view of James Miller, Nicholas Lavelle on the left-hand side of your screen as they cross the line. It's the final lap. The white flag is out here. Down the back straightaway, this is the final time that these drivers will have to do this. All they got to do is just keep it together through the last 2 turns. James Miller through turn 3. No one making any bold moves here this time out of turn 4. James Miller across the checkered line. He's going to bring home the win here for the Gateway 200. Nicholas Lavelle in 2nd place. Ashley Lyle in 3rd. Jaden Hopp in 4th. Sean Williams in 5th place. That is going to conclude our race here today as drivers get themselves across the checkered line, and we are going to get ourselves ready for post-race interviews. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, interviews with James Miller, Nicholas Lavelle, and Ashley Lyle. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, race fans. James Miller burning down the field here as we have our post-race results. You can see it on your screen right now as we are going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for our post-race interviews. And up first is going to be Ashley Lyle taking home 3rd place for tonight's race here, folks. As just give us one moment here. So Ashley Lyle taking home 3rd place in the number 51 machine for today's race here. Ashley, do you have a read?
I do have a read. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Ashley. It's great to have you back here for another race with VRL. It's been a little bit since we've last talked to you, but you came out here tonight and you wanted to put on a show here, Ashley. I mean, it definitely seemed like halfway through the race, I mean, you were the driver to talk about at that point. I mean, you kind of came out of nowhere, to be completely honest with you. You know, you were up 12 spots, I think, when I noticed you were up there leading the race. And I think the cautions and the pit stops also kind of had something to do with that, Ashley. But walk me through your night. I mean, Gateway is a tough track. I mean, it's pretty flat in nature, and just given kind of the practice that we saw, you know, Paul Mikolajczyk starting out at the very top of the, I mean, it was a wild night, Ashley. I mean, just talk me through your night. What happened, and did you expect to end up where you were at, or were you hoping for better results?
Oh, I was hoping to start in the pole and win the thing. these are one of my favorite cars, although I've been largely off iRacing for a hot minute. But in particular, I excel on short tracks and road courses. Short tracks are my baby. Like, every time we've come to short tracks in this league and I've been racing, I've been one of the names to look out for. In qualifying, I just completely hosed both corners and then tail slapped the wall. So unfortunately, the one lap that counted was the first super slow one. So just kind of had to battle back through the field and take it easy for a large portion of the race and just pick my way through traffic. Under yellow, I was able to make up a pretty good amount of time coming out of the pits and get past a couple people. And the track position is extremely important here just due to how bad of a problem the dirty air is. And it's really, you can pass in the bottom, but the other person really has to let you take it for the most part. I'm kind of kicking myself for not pitting with James, though, because I knew once he went in, if the race went green, those extra few laps in the tires were going to come in his favor, as they did. By the time he got back up to us and he had gotten through Nick, I had just kind of roasted my rears too hard trying to fight. And, I mean, I threw it into 3 and 4 with the full intention to pin him as tight as I could, but at that point, there just wasn't anything left on the rights.
Well, Ashley, you put on a heck of a show here tonight, and, I mean, speaking of that, you and Nicholas Lavelle, I mean, you both were duking it out for so long. And I mean, I know that you're not all that ill-familiar with battling it out with other drivers here in the series and having that competition behind you and that pressure behind you. But, I mean, what was it like just having Nicholas right there behind you? I mean, it seemed like he was just putting his bumper right to yours lap after lap, turn after turn. I mean, what was it like having that pressure there here at Gateway? It's got to be tough.
Oh, I love it. That's the type of stuff I love at short tracks, you know? Unfortunately, well, not even really unfortunately. It's kind of unfortunate for him, but fortunate for me. You can't really, with these cars, really move somebody out of the way, because if you do, you just tend to spin them, particularly at a track like this. But, no, I live for that, man. That's why I love iRacing so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I was talking about a little bit in the broadcast, you know, that's why we're all here, for the love of motorsport, for the love of racing. It's great to be here, and, you know, it's great to see all the passion amongst all the field. But, Ashley, I want to give you this time to take the mic and give your shout-outs and thank yous to everyone watching, everyone in your pit crew and at home that's helped you, support you through your racing career, as well as take home a podium here tonight at Gateway.
Well, first, thanks to Tony for running the league and allowing me to race in it. I haven't really raced a whole lot this season, but I've been in this league since its inception, and this is easily my favorite league that I've been a part of. These cars are just so much fun to drive, particularly when they're actually sitting on the right rear instead of the right front. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and as usual with leagues that get broadcasted, I always say this, I want to thank my mom. She doesn't watch or care about racing in the slightest, but I still want to thank her.
Absolutely. We all have that one person that we love to shout out, but doesn't actually pay too much attention to racing in itself. But anyway, Ashley, you did a phenomenal job. I hope to see yourself out on track more often. It's always great to see that Morton Salt 51 machine just giving every other driver here that's in the championship running right now just a run for their money. I mean, I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but the championship battle has been quite tense here, almost halfway through the season, and hopefully you get to see yourself stick around more through it and put yourself more on the podium as the season progresses on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been keeping track with it too, and I'm not screaming the podium. I'm going to get some wins this season. It's just a matter of time. Hoping it'll be tonight, but Gateway is not one of my stronger ones. But also want to say congratulations to James on winning that, and thanks to him for not killing me, because I did throw a pretty nasty chop on him, and I appreciate not getting dumped.
Absolutely. Great racing tonight, Ashley. I hope to see you next week at Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Have a great night.
You too, buddy.
Thank you. All right, folks, that is Ashley Lyle, the number 51 machine, taking it home in third place here tonight after an unfortunate little bit of a scuffle there towards the end of the race. But Nicholas Lavelle sitting in second place here, going to be up next in the booth here. The number 10 machine taking home second place. Nick, sir, do you have a read?
Yes, sir.
Nick, welcome to the booth here, man. What a race here tonight. Nicholas, this was tough. Dude, I mean, we started off the race. We had the 38, Paul Mikolajczyk. You know, it was kind of unexpected up here in the booth, you know, seeing Paul leading the race at the start. You know, he qualified with a very good time. Ultimately, just wasn't able to keep up the pace throughout as the race went on. But, Nicholas, you were able to stay up here in the top 3 pretty much the entire race, and I mean, you saw yourself duking it out with Ashley Lyle here. I'm pretty sure you saw yourself duking it out with Howie Briss. There's one other driver that I'm missing here off the top of my head, but either way, either how, you had the number 10 machine was just battling every single lap of the race. And kind of walk me through your night here. I mean, were you expecting were you expecting this, or were you expecting something a little bit different? I mean, it just seemed like with all the draft here with all the dirty air here at the track, with the flat track in general, it seemed like for any driver it was going to be a tough race, and it was tough to kind of, I guess, prepare for.
Well, I figured I'd be further back, but I guess the setup holds on enough when if it holds on and I can wheel it, I can stay up front. But I don't know. I thought I had it. You know, Canadian snuck up and took it from me. But yeah, what are you gonna do? But it was a good run. I enjoyed it. It's a good track. I don't think I was in the one last year, or if I was way further back than I wanted to be. But yeah, it was a good run.
Absolutely. I mean, Nicholas, you've had a great run here in this season in general, and I mean, sitting up here in second place, there's no other driver here as well in the championship that's in the top 3 either, or really in the top 5 for that matter. So, I mean, after tonight's race, Nick, you might be possibly the next championship leader. I mean, how are you feeling about that, knowing that we're not even halfway through the season yet, and there's basically a 6-way battle for the lead in the championship?
I'm definitely going to have to find a way to win something. I was hoping it'd be tonight, but, I mean, with Howie and Tony and Sean and all us up here, I know they're going to get another one, at least one. So I've got to find a way to put one together. I thought it was going to be tonight. I did not expect to be this fast, but, you know, we go to places like New Hampshire and stuff like that. Milwaukee. Well, we already been to Milwaukee. I don't remember. I can't remember what I did last week. But, yeah, if we can get another flat track, if I can put together another run somewhere I don't expect, you know, I might sneak me one in. Or I might get lucky at Talladega or Daytona, but I'm going to doubt that. I'll probably be in the catch fence.
Yeah, you know, Daytona, man.
It's a crapshoot, especially in these cars.
It's a roll of the dice, that's for sure. But, Nicholas, what a phenomenal run you had here tonight, able to take home a podium, second place, after a phenomenal race here tonight. I'm going to give you this time. Give your shout-outs. Anyone watching at home, anyone in the pit crew, anyone at home that you want to shout out and thank for your success here tonight, as well as your success in the season thus far.
Oh, yeah, J-Rod sat in TeamSpeak with me and listened to me breathe heavily for about an hour and a half, so I'm going to shout out him. Thank you, J-Rod.
Gotta love that. You know, you're sitting there trying to help your buddy out win a race, and all you hear is just, God dang it.
Heavy breathing and cussing and sweating. That's all it was.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Nick, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations once again on your podium finish here tonight. Hopefully next week at Michigan we see some of the same results. Maybe, perhaps?
Yeah, be sure it'd be nice. I'd like to talk to you again next week. We'll see.
Absolutely, Nick. Well, congratulations once again, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, later, buddy.
See ya. All right, folks, that's Nicholas Lavelle, the number 10 car, out of the booth here. Last, certainly not going to be least here, James Miller, the driver that, well, he seemingly played the pit strategy a little bit better than everyone else did and was able to come out on top, having those tires, you know, saving them all the way until the very bitter end. James, welcome to the booth, and congratulations on a win here tonight at Gateway. What a run that you had here tonight. I mean, what was your expectations? I mean, coming down into pit road, it was, let me see here, it was like, I think it was 103, somewhere in that margin. The rest of the field around you came in lap 88. I mean, were you expecting to put yourself up here at the top of the poll once things were said and done, or was it kind of just a roll of the dice, just a shot in the dark that it would work?
Yeah, I mean, I am so pumped that we finally got a win this season. I was honestly not sure if it was ever going to happen. No, I mean, coming into this race, I didn't expect any of this. Practice, I felt slow and just a little off pace. I just got a whole new rig that I just built new pedals, no new wheel shifter, and it's so different that I just spent like practice trying to figure out where I wanted everything, what I wanted. Like brakes are all different, and I didn't like any of it.
Oh man.
I adjusted a couple things in practice, and I was like, whatever, I gotta start at the back anyways. I'll just run some nice smooth laps. We'll just, make our way. We'll take it easy. And the first run, I was 10th. I'm like, all right, well that's pretty good. I mean, I'm 6 seconds back from the leader. There's some separation in the field. We'll see what happens. And then the next run, I'm 3rd. I'm like, okay, this is working great. And then I go to pit in. I fix repairs for 8 seconds. Then my guys put fuel in it. And then my guys put 4 tires on it. I'm like, well, let's just do it all over again. And then, I don't know if that was lap 60. It might have been. And then, yeah, that caution at 88 came out, and I was like, why are we pitting? I didn't really expect the whole field to pit. Like, oh, I'll be fine. I was getting beat so bad. I was getting eaten up there. And then I just accidentally, it just drifted wide. I didn't even realize I was drifting wide. I clipped Paul, we both spun out, and the caution happened. And I tried to come in the first time, completely blew pit entrance. And I just went straight through the grass, back out on the track. Made it back around, took tires. I was like, well, it is what it is. Got a couple sets left, and a set more than the field. Like maybe they'll play out with some more cautions, because I was expecting it to be a caution fest, and we go green the whole way, and we're getting to the end, and I'm like, I'm faster than these guys. My tires are better, and I think I can do this. And then I get to them, and man, they put on one hell of a good race, blocking and holding me up. And I was like, uh-oh, maybe I don't have it. I'm burning my stuff up here. And actually kind of chopped my nose a bit, cut her a break, could have dumped her there, but I was like, I'll probably dump myself. I want that. And then I just kind of cooled the tires off, cooled myself off, got back there, made a run, was able to pass them both, and about blew it out in the lead, missing some braking points, but we got it done. I didn't expect any of this.
I mean, James, I think you just answered about every single question I had for you for your interview. I mean,
how it goes.
Dude, you did absolutely incredible here. I mean, just watching you, it seemed like you were just patiently waiting for that opportunity to arise. And I mean, Nicholas Lavelle, Ashley, both. I mean, it started to seem like once their cars started to suffer from the effects of that tire wear, I mean, they were both pushing it right until the very bitter end. I feel on their stints, and it definitely showed, and you were able to capitalize on that, James. And it definitely, I mean, like you said, it definitely took a little bit. They were giving you quite the fight all the way until the end, but I mean, once they started to get rather unsettled, I mean, towards the last, I think, 10 laps or so, I mean, both of those cars just definitely seemed like monsters to try and handle. You were on top of it. Man, it was incredible. It was incredible watching you work your way through this field all the way from the tail end. I mean, you had an EOL at the beginning of this race from last week's race at Road America, and you were able to come away with a win, man. I mean, and it's your first win of the season. That's, James, incredible, dude. Incredible. You did phenomenal. But before we let you go here and crack one open in celebration, I want to give you this time, give your shout-outs, thank anyone watching at home in the pit crew or at home for your success here tonight as well as in the season.
Yeah, just huge shout-out to Team AV, and big shout-out to Jeffrey Fisher. I'm hoping he can race with us again this season. He's going through a couple things personally, but all's good with him in that matter, but just can't be racing at the moment. I do miss racing with him, and chatting throughout the race keeps me focused on the race in a weird way, but yeah, shout out to the team, and I think my teammate Jordan was watching, so shout out to him, and just everyone watching at home, and you for the great broadcast. I really like them.
Well, thank you very much. James, I enjoy watching you race week in and week out, and I hope to see you next week at Michigan and pull off some of the same results that we saw here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully slower practice times mean better race pace. We'll see. It was the case at New Hampshire. I didn't feel good in practice, and we had a great long run, and that's I was battling Aaron at the end, got second. So
well,
maybe that's it.
maybe the new rig is good. Good luck for you.
Hopefully, I'm liking it. So we'll see. We gotta keep it rolling.
Absolutely. We'll just have to wait and see the success of the 09 machine as we continue forward throughout the season. But James, phenomenal race here tonight. Congratulations on your first win tonight in the 2022 Cup Series, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Michigan.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Have a great night, James.
You too.
All right, folks, that is James Miller, the 09 car, out of the booth here tonight, taking home the win here for Gateway 200 of the 2022 VRL Cup Series. That is going to conclude our coverage of the race here tonight. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action tonight with Team Goon Squad. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. If you have enjoyed the action here tonight, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. Thank you all once again for tuning in and watching, and I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same place at my home state track, Michigan International Speedway. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week.